University of Hyderabad is one of the largest campuses of India, spreading over 2,300 acres of land. More than 5,000 students are studying in this campus. The Central University is home for a rich biodiversity. With 734 species of flowering plants, 220 species of birds, and more than 15 species of mammals and reptiles live here. The university houses one of the last grasslands of the Hyderabad city. Earlier this year, Telangana government had planned to clear and auction 400 acres of kancha Gacchibowli Forest land for IT parks and development projects to the corporate giants.
Yes, the government's claim that university doesn't own this land, but it is the government's. Nobody is disputing it. But coming to that point, the whole of the university is not in university's name, including the 400 acres and the rest of it. Everything is in the government's name. So in that sense, each part, each inch of this university land is in the government's name. But the question maybe for us to ask is, what does government's land mean? Is it the chief minister's land, or is it the elected government's land, the elected government at that moment? Do people have no say in this? People who have inhabited this land before the university, after the university, and also people around this university to whom this biodiverse hotspot means so much. Right? So when we say it is government's land, it looks like government is not bothered, or it dissociates itself from people. So that kind of dissociation from people and government is something very puzzling. So when we say it's government land, perhaps we need to understand that it is actually people's land. And who are the people here? Right now it is the university people and people around, and we are much more stake in this than the elected government of the moment has.
In the middle of the night, when students had gone to their homes for Eid and Ugadi, around 50 bulldozers entered the campus on March 30th and started deforestation in the area. Big boulders and rocks were removed with the help of machineries near Peacock Lake and Mushroom Rock. Approximately 150 acres of land had already been cleared in the Kancha Gacchibowli Forest area. What once was green, lush vegetation is now leveled into a wasteland. The deforestation drive not only threatens the flora and fauna around the lakes of the campus, but also jeopardizes the weather conditions of Hyderabad city. Clearing of Kancha Gacchibowli Forest could raise the temperatures of Hyderabad city by 1 to 4 degrees Celsius.
So if that is one thing, about the ecological system here in the university, the government also has been saying that it will leave the Mushroom Rock untouched, it will leave the lakes untouched. But when we saw yesterday, I had gone there to the site yesterday, the road and the clearing of the forest area is right until the bank of the Peacock Lake. So once you obstruct the natural flow of rainwater coming into the lake, the catchment area, I don't know how the lake or the rock will sustain itself. Any ecological system survives in interaction with a whole lot of things, right? In human being and a whole lot of beings, living and non-living. So this kind of understanding of an ecosystem as an interactive kind of a system is totally missing in our understanding. Now, if that is a kind of Anthropocene understanding of different beings contributing to each other in a system, that, yes, that understanding is totally absent in this picture.
The Chief Minister Revanth Reddy had gone on record saying that there are no deers, no tigers, but only cunning foxes who were out to hinder the state's development.
I was appalled because I know he himself had come to campus, right? People made memes that he came, played football, saw the land and took it. I was just appalled. I'm like, you cannot make statements like this when we are showing you proof that so many animals exist. We students live here, we are seeing these animals, we're trying to show you footage of it, and yet you still want to be ignorant and say that there's no deer or foxes and just cunning jackals or whatever he called us. I'm like, I don't have an issue if you did your due diligence, right? Do your due diligence, do everything according to the book, then do something. When you're violating environmental laws and then calling us foxes for trying to protect the nature from unnecessary destruction, I could not stand. I was just appalled actually.
A joint action committee was formed with faculty members, student union and non-teaching staff to protest the illegal clearing of the land. The students of university began protesting this development drive, facing detentions and FIRs.
There were two things at stake in this entire issue. One was the biodiversity of this 400 acres, because this was a proper forest area, though not recognized by the government officially. It was a proper forest area with more biodiversity than the KBR National Park, and an area bigger than KBR National Park. So we knew that this was a big biodiversity issue. And second thing was that it was a land issue for us. It was an ownership issue for the university, because through this GCB action only, we found out that this entire university's land has not actually been mutated to the university. It was just given to our possession, and till this day there's not a single inch of the land that is owned under university's name. So while we were doing this, surprisingly on 30th of March we saw that suddenly JCBs have again come in and they've started actually deforestation activity in a much wider area. So when the students found out, immediately our union general secretary went there, and along with several other people, and the moment they went there to ask questions, they were immediately detained. Then we started gathering people. We went there, gave calls to people immediately mobilized. We were easily 300-400 people immediately had mobilized, and then we started walking towards the JCBs, and we went to interrupt the activity because there was no other way that we could have made an intervention. So we intervened, and immediately, because there was so much police located there, they immediately charged us. Everyone has seen the visuals, the way they manhandled the students, the way they cracked down upon the intervention that we tried to create there. And once we started getting the visuals of the activity that was happening in that area, because when we went to intervene, it was only 2 JCBs. The moment they detained us, JCBs started pouring in, and at that point we saw maybe 10 before we were made to leave that area. Then later when we started getting visuals, it was endless number of, next morning it was, I don't know, easily 30-40 number of JCBs that were stationed there to start beginning the activity. That's when we really got into action, and we started approaching ministers outside and started approaching lawyers outside. And immediately, because this happened on Sunday, and on Monday we started acting on it, because we knew that by physically intervening we cannot go anywhere. We cannot afford to let students be detained by causing repeated interventions physically. So we had to figure out an effective way which will actually yield results on this activity. So the entire Monday we met ministers, we met lawyers, we met civil society organizations, and we tried to set things up for the next day. So next day immediately a PIL had already been filed, Vata Foundation outside, and Advocate Niranjan Reddy was leading that council, was consulting on that council. So that PIL was already filed, it was already scheduled for a hearing on 7th. So the Vata Foundation people moved the court for a lunch motion, and they got a hearing for Wednesday. Then the PIL, the hearing happened, and as you all know, the High Court immediately gave an oral injunction that there should be a stay. And the next morning, while we were still engaging our networks and still engaging our course of action, what we saw was that Supreme Court had, because of how big the issue had become, because of the resilience with which the student community kept protesting despite the repeated lathi charges, despite admin's lack of cooperation, and despite there being no really hope. I mean, given the way Revanth Reddy was trying to put his iron fist on the whole issue, there was a possibility of hopelessness among the students, and there was a lot of cluelessness also. How do we take on against such a huge, powerful man who's trying to take something away from us? So there should have been the possibility of hopelessness, but instead students were very resilient. They stuck around with the union's calls, with the union's mobilization efforts, and they maintained that presence on the ground, and that presence was noted by the media. We made sure that as much media as possible could cover it. The issue went national. We talked to media houses everywhere. We gave online interviews. We talked to the press all the time, and that's how we amplified the voice, to the point that the Supreme Court, through the amicus bench itself, I might be missing the technicality, but by itself, suo motu, took the cognizance of the issue, and immediately within the same day declared that there should be a stay on this until a report is submitted, and until that report is submitted, any action by the government will be punishable by the court. And they have clearly stated that no developmental activity should be taking place on this land apart from taking care of the surviving forests.
These protests have brought forth multiple issues that unfolded in the context of the deforestation drive. Besides the issue of land ownership and protection of biodiversity, the campus has seen heavy deployment of police forces and increasing surveillance on the protesting students. Students from the university spoke to us about the current situation in the campus.
For a long while, we have been having protests regarding the land grab issue, but it got escalated from 30th of March when I think 50 to 60 bulldozers came inside the campus, and a large group of students went to the East Campus to stop those bulldozers, but there was a huge number of police officers already there. CRPF force was there. They had lathis and they had the vans ready. There were trucks to detain students. So some of the students, a group of students sat on the bulldozer to stop the bulldozer, and others were gathered nearby. I was one of them, and many of my friends, my comrades were being detained, so we were trying to stop the police officers. And in that meanwhile, there were very less women constables present there. So to detain me, there should be a woman constable, but before that, male officers tried to push me away, and then the women constables came. They tried to grab me by my clothes, and they dragged me on the ground. And in that process, my clothes got torn. And the very shameful fact is that they tore my clothes, my bra was visible, and that police officer, that woman constable asked me to stand to stand at side because my bra is visible. Like, I should be ashamed that my bra is visible, but it is you who has done that. So you should be more ashamed. And that got very escalated, that got very agitated. Students were very angry, but they were brutally detained. Like in the detention also, the students who got detained, they told that they were beaten up. They were beaten up by, like, they were pushed in the trucks very brutally. And they were asked to make a video at the police station that they will not participate in future in such protests. So many of the students didn't actually make the video, but some of them were forced to do that. Some of them had to make the video. Their Aadhaar card was asked, their personal information was asked. So a lot of things happened on that one particular day. And while we were protesting, Revant Reddy had its army inside our campus. There was so much of police officers everywhere, and that increased the surveillance also, because East Campus is very near to ladies hostel complex. So you would find at night police officers roaming around the LH hostels, and the construction is going till South LH 910. So you would find at night the police officers there as well.
The stay order issued by the Supreme Court on April 3rd has given a momentary relief to the student community. They see this order as a ray of hope that the remaining land will not suffer the fate of bulldozing.
End of the day, after like all this fight, we have achieved something. And as a student coming from a Muslim community, it gives me a bit of like a lot of hope that you can actually stop bulldozers. Because I've heard the politics of bulldozers, I've seen bulldozers coming, but I've never seen stopping the bulldozers. So if that could happen in HCU, it gives me a pleasure that it can happen anywhere in this nation. And so such a message has also been gone with this protest, and that actually gives me extra pleasure to stand before and speak after the protest. One more thing I want to add is that for the student community, you shouldn't go down just because we have got some stay, be it in matter of this or any other matters for that matter. If you feel a rock shouldn't be bulldozed, just like that, a house shouldn't be bulldozed, a masjid should not be bulldozed. That is also made with stones. That is also, but it has got a purpose, moral grounds when it comes to human, and so the support should be more.
These protests and stay order from Supreme Court has led Telangana government to call off the auction. However, the student community and the university is facing a newer challenge. The state government has proposed a revised plan to develop an ecological park on all the 2,000 acres of university land. As per the new proposal, the campus is to be relocated in an area of 100 acres in the outskirts of Hyderabad city.